Welcome to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. The first story is called A Stupid Request. Recently, our OG manager, who was fantastic, just left. One of the biggest things he did for our team was to keep the higher-ups from meddling in our day-to-day lives. As long as we hit our targets, we could pretty much do as we please. Want to work from home 4 days a week? No stress. Want to go out on the road and meet clients face to face instead of meeting over Zoom or phone? Be his guest. Feel like closing all your deals at 2 AM every night and not logging on until 3 PM the next day? Why not? Basically, do whatever, let him know and hit the targets. It was all cool by him. You get the drift. Because of this, our team works very hard and constantly hits targets. With myself and a few others doing so well, we recently got promoted. Personally, I got the job of second in command to work with the new manager, show him the ropes, train the new staff, etc. However, the OG manager leaves as he can take the stress from the higher-ups breathing down his neck about his management style. Even though we constantly make and exceed targets, they are unhappy as he is not doing it through their formula. About a week or so after the OG manager leaves, the new manager and pretty much another sales team are hired. The new manager is essentially just a yes man for the higher-ups. Our super awesome workspace goes downhill. We are required to be in the office 5 days a week, 9 to 5. Given a set seating plan and spend our time cold calling, not relationship building. We do this for a few weeks. The older reps who work for the OG manager aren't having the best time. Not only are we now dealing with this shocking environment, we also have to train new staff and the new manager on the systems, the product, meaning we really have no time to sell. Then we have a meeting. The new manager starts going on about the importance of the new system, as it will increase sales, which in turn will increase our commission. Now we get to the good part. The head office lady came down for this meeting. She doesn't have much day-to-day in the sales stuff. She is quiet until the end when she pipes up, saying how this company has room for growth, is willing to promote internally, uses me and points out me and some of the older sales reps as examples. She then goes on to ask for the resignation of anyone who doesn't believe her way will work by 5 PM the next day. Me and the other sales reps who were there with the OG manager simply comply with her request and hand our notice periods in at the end of the next day. This leaves the company with a sales team that consists of a manager that doesn't know anything about the product or role, and a totally fresh team of newbie starters who have no idea what they are doing that will not get anywhere near the target for a long time. The next story is called Property Lines. I'm a senior construction superintendent in the DFW area. The project I'm currently on is a 13-acre site, smack in the middle of an extremely affluent area to the north of Dallas. 3 weeks ago, a city inspector that we will call Joe came into the site office. He said that they received a complaint about a sprinkler line being damaged during excavation for the fire lane. He, my landscaper, and I went to investigate. We discovered that a small fitting had blown out of the line. Landscaper repaired it. I went up to knock on the door to explain to them the issue and inform them of the repair. I got no answer at the door, so I left a card and a note asking them to call me. They never did. A week later, Joe comes in and mentions that they have reached out again about the noise from equipment. This is odd because anyone with heavy equipment is currently working on the other end of the property. I again went to speak with them, got no answer at the door and left a card again. Yesterday, in walks Joe to tell me that they are complaining that our construction fence is on their property and destroying their grass. The fence is 12 feet from the fence and our spec called for it to be a minimum of 15 feet from the property line. So I pull up our CAD files on the survey plat so I can make sure we have it placed exact and realize that their wood fence is 4 feet onto our property. Their house is about 14 inches onto our property. During all of this, I get an email from the city asking me to place the construction fence squarely on our property line. The email is sent to me, the apparent homeowner, Joe, and my project manager. I brought the surveyor spec out yesterday to pinpoint our property corners and give us some 10 feet offsets to measure from. I knocked on the homeowner's door again and got no answer. Mind you, every time there were cars in the driveway. Fast forward to this morning. My fence crew showed up and they began moving the fence onto the property line, which takes 2 feet 7 inches off the driveway and 18 feet off the road where it ends at the property. It was previously a cul-de-sac. The client finally reached out, or more accurately, came to the site office in a huff. I explained the issue, showed him the plat, and he left with some unkind words flowing from him. I put a pause on the fence relocation. My project manager called him, I called the city right-of-way engineer and our client. We set up a meeting that just ended. He claimed that our plat was wrong. The engineer and everyone else disagreed. The back and forth went on long enough for the client, who is an extremely laid-back and quiet gentleman, to finally speak up and basically say, "We are just gonna go ahead and sell you the property you've stolen at current market value plus 10%. In this area, that is not cheap. If that's not acceptable, we'll just have you move your fence, cut out your driveway and use the east side of your home for advertisement. Or you can back off, let these guys work and we'll give you lifetime use of the area you currently occupy, so long as there's no more hassling of any kind." The guy asked me if we'd move the fence back out, and I told him no. I agreed to take it off his driveway, but the street and green space belonged to us. We only did what he asked us to do. The engineer who asked me to move it agreed. The third story is called Complying with Her Logic. I used to work as a personal auto insurance liability adjuster, and my job was to investigate accidents and coverages, determine who is at fault and what coverage they have. An issue we commonly run into is undisclosed drivers. Many parents don't add their kids to their policy to avoid a rate increase, only to be stunned when we deny their collision, since they essentially lied about the drivers in the household, and depending on the underwriter, they can be dropped. I had a claim where a woman's son, who was not listed on the policy and was over 18, hit another car. In the state she lived in, she was required to have him on her policy, since that was his permanent residence. She had him, but removed him. She was one of those Karen types who felt she knew more than me. I asked her why. He's away at college. All year? No, most of it, and his college is out of state. Does he live in the dorms or off campus? Dorms. Where does his driver's license say he lives? My address. He still needs to be on your policy. No, he doesn't. He lives in the dorms for most of the year, so he is not at this address for most of the year. Yes, but when he comes home from his breaks, like summer or winter break, doesn't he use this car at your home? No, he has it with him on campus. Oh, so your son lives in the dorms, but this car that he was driving he keeps with him on campus? Yes, he needs it for his job and to get around. And is this car registered to him at the address of his campus? No, the car is registered and insured by me in this state. Oh, so even though he is not on the policy, he is still the primary driver and is keeping the car for most of the year at his college out of state? Yes, thank you. That is all. As soon as I hung up, I did an underwriting referral for the car being garaged out of state, since based on her logic, the son was not a resident of her household, so that meant the car was not being kept at her primary address. She was sent a letter by underwriting, explaining that her policy was not going to be renewed. And since we reported the accident to the insurance database, all new carriers would know her son needed to be on her policy. She called her agent and we did a conference call, and she was livid. I explained that I had taken her side. She said her son was not a resident of her address, since most of the year her son was on campus. But because of that, the car was not being garaged at her address, since the car was also out of state for most of the year. She hung up in a huff after the agent tried to diplomatically explain the situation. As soon as she left the call, he thanked me and told me she was his least favorite customer, and he was now thrilled he wouldn't have to deal with her anymore. And with that, we end today's video. Let me know what you think about the stories. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the stories and today's video? I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like what I do and would like to support me, please subscribe and hit the like button. I hope you have a great day. Stay safe. Bye bye.